Kathy and I went on missions, and I've worked in the church. I've worked at the Missionary Training Center. Kathy and I, and worked in the temple, served in the temple. Kathy and I were temple ordinance workers, and then I ended up being a shift coordinator. Heavenly Father has just been with us, and from us has been with our family, and we've kept our family united together.
In high school, I told you I worked cutting apricots, I worked in the garlic field, I worked in the pears, I worked in tomatoes. We just were very rural, and we worked in any kind of a job that we could, but a lot of it involved like manual labor. And so that's where that drive came in me to learn Spanish too. Learning to speak Spanish has been a real key thing for me in my life. I was just driven to learn that language. And when I worked in the county hospital, a lot of the Mexican laborers came in there because it was cheaper costs. And I would ask them, ¿Cómo se dice? ¿Cómo se dice? I wanted to learn how to say things because I only had Spanish for 1 year. However, I'm not a great student. School was always hard for me. I worked hard for it, but Spanish, I was driven to learn it. I memorized it, I practiced it, and I got A+ every time in Spanish. We moved here, and there was a family over here from Argentina, and I got assigned to be her visiting teacher, and I could not speak very well. But like I said, I got A+, but I spoke in present tense. And Rod was bishop of a singles ward, and a young man from Peru was in the ward, and he was a translator for General Conference. And so I said, Fernando, will you give me private lessons? I need to learn to speak Spanish, and I'll pay you. And he said, you can't pay me. I said, well, I'll give you free haircuts. Because my dad was a barber, I learned to cut hair, and I'm just interjecting this here. So I've been cutting hair for 60 years, my husband and my 5 boys. Anyway, so Fernando came, and his very first lesson was, tell me about your childhood for 5 minutes. Well, that's past tense. And I couldn't speak past tense, and I tried to tell him things. I don't know if I'll say in English what I was trying to say in Spanish, because that's easier. I would say, to go in past tense to school, and I to play in past with my friends, and I to eat in past the food, and I to speak in the past Spanish. And he said, I know where we need to start.
My favorite thing about my wife, she's the soul of my spirit. She brings me joy. She's helps me to learn, and she helps reminding me of things that make my life and her life enjoyable. I love her to. I think she even said in her interview that I love her to the moon and back. That was just a phrase that we had, and she is. I look forward to the eternities with her.
I worked for the eye surgeon for 18 years. I retired in May of 2003. And I told Rod, you cannot retire the same time as me. I need a year home alone by myself to recover. And so he retired later. But after we both retired, we decided to go on a mission. And I had put on the papers that I had medical background because I had worked for a dentist and had worked for an eye surgeon, and that I had a hard time being cold. So we received our mission call to go to the Dominican Republic, Santiago Mission as Institute teachers. We entered the MTC on New Year's Eve, 2007. So I say we started our mission in January of 2008. And we flew to Santiago and served there. We spoke Spanish, but not their kind of Spanish very well, and we had to learn to understand a Dominican, but we loved those kids. It was so fun. I baked more cookies during that year and a half mission than I ever did as a mother of 5 boys. But we served there for a year and a half and met some wonderful people there and still are in touch with them, and returned in July of 2009. And then in January of 2010, we started serving in the Timpanogos Temple. And then in 2013, they announced that if anybody wanted to serve a temple mission in Nauvoo or Palmyra, to put their papers in. And so we did. And I kept saying to the temple president, I really want to go to Nauvoo. We really want to go. Anyway, 33 people put their papers in to serve in the temple, and we were one of the ones of the 2 selected. 2 of us were selected. So in April of 2014, we drove back to Nauvoo, arrived there, and served from the middle of April to the end of October of 2014. Living in Nauvoo is amazing. It's just like, even when you leave the temple out on the ground, you feel like you're in the temple. It's just a wonderful spirit there, and we grew close to so many people there. It was great. And I will interject here, I did haircuts for missionaries in Nauvoo, because somebody went to the barber and said, so what brings you to Nauvoo? And he said, well, we're serving a mission in the temple here. And he said, well, we drove you Mormons out once, we can drive you out again. So they didn't want to go to him anymore. And I told them, I said, I can cut men's hair. So I did have like 5 different men come and get haircuts. Got to use Spanish there during the pageant. I helped out as a translator in the pageant I was Jane Manning's voice. And so that was the kind of fun thing that I got to use my Spanish in. Doug and Robbie and his wife and Greg came back to visit us in late September of 14. And they were there for a few days, showed them all around, took them to Carthage jail, and they went through the temple, showed them special things inside the temple that we knew about, that we could show when there weren't people there. And then Doug returned home, and a few days later, his daughter passed away. So Brittany called us on October 2nd, and after we'd finished our temple service, and said, Grammy, I'm okay, but I'm ready to go home. I love you. Goodbye. And then 3 hours later, we got the text that she was gone. So that was a hard thing, but the Lord knew what was going to happen. And the next day, our assignment was in the arrival center, where I could just cry if I needed to. And I did. And so we had so many friends there that brought us in a meal and just all the stuff. We made plans to fly home for her funeral. So we did. We arrived back home. We were here for the viewing, her funeral, met our new neighbors. And then we went back and finished our last 10 days in Nauvoo because Elder L. Tom Perry was going to be there. And so we just had a real rich experience being there. But it was bittersweet for that, losing our granddaughter. But we all knew that the time would come, and she was ready to go. We finished. And on our way home, leaving Nauvoo, we went to Branson for 2 days and enjoyed that experience. Stopped in Kansas City and went through that temple, and then came across and arrived back here on Halloween night of 2014. And then I thought we were done with missions, but then Rod said, I just want to do one more mission. And we wanted to do a Spanish-speaking mission. We wanted to do in a temple. And we had friends who had served in the Madrid, Spain temple, and they had connections. And so we talked with people there that we would like to come and serve a mission there. So we submitted all the paperwork, and all the things were pulled, and we received a mission call to serve in the Madrid, Spain temple. We flew out August 1st of 2019 and arrived there, and we were supposed to be there for a year, But then it is stupid COVID hit, and we had to come home. And I will only say that about it. But during our time there, we just, it's a complete opposite of the Dominican Republic. It's clean and culture and nice, and Dominican is very third world and dirty, but the people are wonderful and the food's wonderful, and this is clean and the culture is clean in Spain. They're very different but very wonderful in their own ways. And we met wonderful people there, and fun to ride the subway and the train, go downtown and go shopping. Fun to speak Spanish in the temple all the time. It was just a rich, rich, rich experience for us to get to go do that. We never got to Barcelona, but we got to Toledo. We had Thanksgiving there. We got to Malaga, Ronda, Cordoba, Granada. Wonderful, wonderful places and wonderful experiences. And our ability to use Spanish has grown. And we have currently in our ward 8 families that speak Spanish. And so most of them speak English too. One of them really struggles, but I love being able to communicate in Spanish. It's become a part of my life. It's part of who I am.
Kathy and I were called to serve in Madrid, in the temple, Spain. And we'd gotten our call, we were getting ready to go, we were packing up and whatever, and one day I was in the shower, and as I was washing under my arms, I felt a lump. And I said, oh dear, that's not a good thing. Make a long story short, went to the doctor, and they took x-rays, and they says, we need to get that out. Went to Provo Hospital, the general surgeon, and he took this lump out. We didn't know what it was. There was a possibility that it could have been lymphoma, which would have been horrible too. And then I got a call later from after the surgery was over, and he says, Rod, I don't understand this, but that lump that we took out is melanoma, and that's a very dangerous disease, cancer. But he said, I can tell you this, when I took it out, it was encapsulated. It was all in one form. It didn't have feelers or runners going anywhere. It was all encapsulated. I think we got it all. My dermatologist said, Rod, I think we got it all too. I think your surgeon is correct, but you're going on your mission to Spain, and I want to make sure that when you get to Spain, you don't have a reoccurrence. So he sent me up to Salt Lake City to the clinic up there on the campus at U of U, and she was a melanoma specialist. And she says, Rod, I agree with the general surgeon, I agree with your dermatologist that it looks like they got it all, but she says, I recommend that you let me go in, and I'll go through the same surgery area, and I'll check all of the lymph nodes and make sure that they're clean and whatever. And Kathy and I says, go ahead, let's do it. So she did it. I came out of that surgery, and I found out later she took out of my area 18 lymph nodes. And she said they all look fairly clean, but she says, I'm not sure, we're waiting for the lab report. Okay. In the meantime, they put a drain in me so that I could keep draining all of this stuff anyway. The call never came. It never came. It never came. Why? And so I called the doctor. What is the lab report? And then she went quiet for a minute. We never did get the lab report. What? Anyway, she says, don't worry about it. It's going to be okay. Well, don't worry about it. Yeah, right. So I was really nervous, and I was on my way to Kiwanis Club for a meeting, and I was praying with my eyes open. I was praying to Heavenly Father, help me. I want to go on the mission. Thou hast called me to go on the mission with my wife. We're going to have a great time. Why am I having this problem? And after I finished my prayer, my radio had been going, and I didn't know it. It had music, and it was on a cowboy station. And this cowboy was singing a song, and he went into his chorus. And all I heard was, "Everything's going to be all right. Don't worry about nothing." And I said, "Heavenly Father, is that true? Are you talking to me?" I got home. I was laying on the bed. That was going through my head. Telephone rings. The doctor picks up the phone and says, "Got your lab report. There is no cancer anywhere. Go on your mission and enjoy your time in Madrid." And 1 week later, 2 days after they took the drain out of me, we got on a plane and went on our mission. And then after we were there 7.5 months, COVID hit. Every temple in the church closed down. But prior to that, wherever temple closed down, we came home. They only gave us 24 hours to get on a plane and get home. Got home, and the area president called, my stake president, and the stake president called and says, "He's not going to release you yet. We're hoping to get you back out into the field." Well, a month later, all the temples in the church were closed, and so then the area president called and says, "Release them with honor for their work at the temple." That was my battle, and I fought cancer 3 times. That last one, the one I just told you about, was the last time that I had any cancer.
When we came home from the Dominican Republic, we wanted to take our whole family on a cruise. While we were there, our money in our account would build up, and I would tell my son that could have access to our bank account, "Give $5,000 to Robbie, and Robbie open up an account and we'll start feeding money into it." And so we had enough money in that account to pay to take our whole family on a cruise. And my daughter-in-law planned it, my son paid for it, we just showed up. And that was the first cruise for our kids. Rod and I had been on a couple of cruises before. Our first cruise was down to the Ensenada, San Diego. We went on a cruise to Alaska. That was amazing. Then we took this cruise to the Mexican Riviera. We went on a cruise for Rod's 70th birthday to the Yucatan Peninsula. We went on a cruise for my 70th birthday up through Montreal, Quebec, Prince Edward Island, Nova Scotia, all in there. And we've recently had another cruise to Alaska. Oh, last year we went to Alaska to celebrate our 60th anniversary on a cruise. We love cruising, but I think our cruising days are over. It just takes so much effort. Now that we're older, the getting around is a little bit different. And I just celebrated my 80th birthday in May in my high school class. I just got home 3 weeks ago from an 80th birthday party. We had a 60-year reunion 2 years ago, and this year we're all turning 80, so we had an 80th birthday party to celebrate us. And then my garden is my very, very most happy, happy place. I go out there. I've grown the garden for over 40 years. I love giving my children healthy, organic food. And when I'm out there, I can sing, I can pray, I can talk to myself, I can exercise. It's my totally happy place. And nothing like playing in the dirt to ground yourself.
The legacy for them is to know that I love them, that they love me, and that Heavenly Father loves us all, and that He wants all of us to come home. He doesn't want any empty chairs up in heaven. He wants the place full. And so that's my prayer and my hope for my entire family, for my posterity, and in all honesty, for all of my ancestry. And that's why Kathy and I love our temple work and doing ancestry work, because I want them all there. And in all honesty, I believe that a lot of those guardian angels that have helped me in my life are those that were on the other side that saw whatever the need was, and they were there for us. The Lord has always been there, and we've come out on top, and I'm so grateful for that. And I want my family to know that God lives and that He loves us and He's there for us, and His arms are out and will help us. And just like when Peter when he started to sink in the water, and he said, "Save me," the Lord put his hand out and pulled him right out of the water. That's what I felt like has happened in my life. I've been pulled out of the water several times, and I know the Lord will do the same thing for them if they'll just turn their hearts to him and pray.
As I've gotten older and I have memories and I see back, I wish that I had enjoyed the crazy chaos of my boys more. You can have screaming chaos or you can have laughing chaos, and I wish that I would have been more of a laughing chaos mother, because with 5 little boys and growing up, it gets chaotic and crazy. But I wish that I would have enjoyed those moments more, and I want for my family to know how deeply I love them. I've told my boys, "You're the best ever, and if there's anything I've done that's hurt you, let's work it out here, because you can't do it after very well." And one of them says, "Mom, it's okay. You didn't know what you were doing, and I don't know what I'm doing, so I get it." So my boys are very forgiving, but they're the joys of my life, and their children are the joys of my life. And I just want them to know that I'm with you. I love you to the moon and back. I have a necklace my little granddaughter made for me when she was 5 years old, and I still wear it. I had it restrung because it's important to me. These little kids need to know that they are the jewels in my crown, and I love them all dearly. And I'm very grateful that I married the man that I did, who is a kind and patient man, and that our boys have grown into be such good men. They all went to Family Feud together. They love each other. They love to be together. Not all families have kids that want to be together and love each other, and we do. And it's a joy. It's a joy to be their mom, and a joy to be alive with them and to see them and to hug them. I'm a hugger bugger. That's my nickname. I was in Young Women, and the girls called me Hugger Bugger, and I think I'll take it.